Joining me now is a UFC light heavyweight fighter who defeated Jeremy Kimball in his second UFC outing via first-round submission at UFC 218 in Detroit, Michigan this past weekend. It is Dominick Reyes here on the program for the very first time. Dom, how's it going? Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing fantastic, man. Just enjoying some sunshine right now.
Awesome. Where are you right now?
I'm in California, back home.
Okay, perfect. Yes, definitely sunny down there. I was wondering if you're on vacation or something. Were you happy with the win? I don't know, if you can say no, just because not much went wrong. Really, nothing went wrong. I guess you could say you would have liked to, not have been taken down in that very first moment. But you got the job done. First round submission. Another great performance. Ultimately, was it satisfying?
Yeah, I mean, the whole goal was to get the win. We got a good, clean win. I got to showcase some of my ground game and had fun while doing it. So, yeah, I'm satisfied.
Were you surprised Kimball shot, within about 30 seconds of the opening bell? Just because, to me, I was sort of thinking he would come forward and be aggressive, but I thought he was going to try and knock you out, not necessarily take you down and grind you out, so to speak. Did that throw you off a little bit?
It did throw me off just a little bit. I wasn't expecting him to shoot it either. I thought we were gonna bang it out on the feet, and I was gonna get to use my reach advantage. But he just rushed in and tried to take me down, and I reversed it. So hey, whatever they throw at you, you just roll with the punches.
Were you a little happy to be able to record actually the three and a half minutes or so of Octagon time, just because your first win was 29 seconds against Christensen over the summer? So you actually got to spend a few minutes in there, unlike your first fight. Of course, everyone wants to stoppage, sooner the better for the most part. But was it sort of nice to be able to be in there for at least a couple minutes?
Yeah, it's important. It's important for me to get in there and get some of that ring time, get some of that experience under my belt. Though we didn't get to finish early, which is, best case scenario. The second best case scenario is to get some work in there and still get the finish.
Yeah, for sure. This was, of course, on the Fight Pass prelims of UFC 218, Max Holloway versus Jose Aldo 2. You also had Francis Ngannou's knockout of Alistair Overeem on there, Gaethje Alvarez. Really, really fun card. Stack card top to bottom, even for pay-per-view standards. What was it like fighting on this, this big of a card? Just because on your debut you fought on a fight night. It was a good card, but I remember a lot of people were overlooking it just because the day before was Bellator NYC with all the Bellator title fights, J.O. Son and Wanderlei Silva, and it seemed like that was almost bigger than the UFC card that weekend and sort of stole the weekend. Was it nice to be able to fight on such a big card like 218 was?
Oh yeah, it was really cool. Going back to growing, it's another growing experience for me. Being able to be on that pay-per-view card, there's a little more pizzazz with the staff and with everything that's going on. A little bit bigger names walking around, so it was really good to get that experience and to be around top-level guys like that.
Did it feel bigger, or did it feel like just
another
fight? Yeah,
it felt bigger. My Oklahoma fight felt like a big fight, but it just felt different. This one was just, it was a really big card where, I wasn't a very big name on the card, so it was cool.
Now, I know there were a number of pretty, high-level fighters on the card, even probably as guests, I would think. Were you able to meet anyone where you're still young as a UFC fighter? You've only had 2 fights now, your second being this past weekend. Did you meet any fighter that, you've looked up to maybe, that you've been a fan of even, that, it was pretty cool to actually be able to shake their hand?
Yeah, Paul Felder, Max Holloway, Aldo, Ngannou. I mean, I got to meet all those guys. I got to meet Alistair. I mean, I've been watching him for a very long time, so that was cool. I mean, it was great. It was a great growing experience. I got to meet all those guys, which is cool. Guys, like you said, I've looked up to and I've watched fight since before I even, put on my first pair of gloves. So it's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Nothing would be better than probably like opening up the pay-per-view card or being on pay-per-view where you're not going to get as many eyes as say like Fox or FS1 even, but it's a big card on pay-per-view. That's what everyone's sort of goal is. But was it in a way nice to be only the second fight of the night just because you were able to watch? Or I would imagine, I mean, you had the opportunity if you took it, you can sort of say whether or not you did end up watching the rest of the card, but you had that opportunity where, if you're say Alistair Overeem, you can't be sitting around watching all these fights. Really, you're focused. You're sort of in the zone, getting ready. Was it nice to fight early on in the night just so you could enjoy the rest of the fights?
No, absolutely. If I'm not going to be on the the main card, it's good to fight on the prelims because then it's a bit of a treat to be able to watch everybody fight after. I had to watch all the fights, so that was really cool. I was just excited about the card as most of the media and everybody else, so it was cool.
Were you just backstage in the green room watching, or did they actually find you a cage side spot?
No, I was in the green room. They wouldn't let us go into the arena after.
Too bad.
Yeah, I know. I was like, come on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after a big win like that, you'd think that that's sort of your pay, your bonus, but nonetheless. Could your UFC career be going any better? I mean, we've talked about a little bit about your debut. It was a 29-second TKO win over Joachim Christensen, and then of course this one, just 3.5 minutes or so into the first round, you tap out Jeremy Kimball. Neither guy is like a top 10 opponent, top 15, but still wins under your belt. Could your UFC career be going any better right now?
I'm gonna have to say no out of respect for everything I've been doing. I mean, 2 finishes and 2 fights, and both in the first round. I mean, that's a dream scenario for, I want to start, when I get in the UFC, I want to get 2 finishes in the first round. Like, nobody says that, So I'm honored and blessed and excited about the way my career is going, and I'm just trying to respect it and, bust my butt and continue to move along this path.
And you've been in both of your UFC fights, you were a big betting favorite. I don't know if you pay much attention to odds or realize that, but, you were favored quite heavily to win both of your fights. So it's not like you're underachieving or anything. Like, you're definitely, at the very least, reaching expectations. But I would say you're even still being, a 3-1 favorite for this one. I think you're almost 5-1. You're still probably exceeding expectations.
That honestly, the being such a heavy favorite on this fight brought a little bit extra pressure for myself. Just because you can't lose the fights you're supposed to win. It's less of go out there and just fight and do your best, and whatever happens happens. I mean, that's the mentality, to be honest. But when you're supposed to win, it puts a little bit more pressure on you.
Is that something you were thinking about? And I would think that's something you would want to not think much about when you during your training camp. Were you sort of caught in the back of your head thinking about that? And was that a problem?
I thought about it a little bit on Thursday. I was thinking about it a little bit, but then I just abandoned those thoughts and said, you know what? I just got to fight and do my thing.
Why on Thursday? Was that a special day, or just you happened to be thinking about that very day?
Yeah, just that day. That day, I just started thinking about it. Like you sometimes, you go through different emotions leading up to a fight. Sometimes you'll have doubts. Sometimes you'll be extremely confident and excited and ready to go, and then other times, little things will creep up into your mind. For me, it was just thinking, I can't lose this fight. I'm such a heavy favorite. There's no reason for me to lose this fight. So I was kind of thinking about it for a moment, and then I went back to my mentality of, hey, just go out there and do your thing.
The UFC ended up giving out 2 Fight of the Night bonuses to the Medeiros Oliveira fight and, of course, Alvarez Gaethje. Well deserved, but there's a lot of performances, a lot of good finishes on this card that also deserve sort of a tip of the cap. Of course, Ngannou with one of the best knockouts you'll ever see in the co-main fight. A lot of good finishes. Were you at all surprised you didn't pick up a 50K bonus? And no matter what your answer is, have you heard whether or not they'll give you some sort of locker room bonus?
I was looking forward to the bonus because I was the only submission that night. That would have been cool. Being the only submission on such a stacked card, which I feel like that's a pretty big accomplishment in itself. But I didn't get it, so I was like, it's all right. The guy said God deserved it. They fought their asses off, and I I commend him. I don't know if I'm going to get any kind of locker room bonus. That would be really cool, but we'll see.
For sure. Where do you see yourself in the 205-pound division? Of course, not the most stacked division out of the UFC. It's one of the more shallow divisions. Top heavy in a way. You have Volkan Oezdemir fighting for the title, Alexander Gustafsson. But with John Jones sidelined, Rumble now retired for now, it's not making the division much better, so to speak. Where do you fit in, do you think?
I see myself as future champ. I'm a prospect right now. I'm a young prospect, and I'm growing with every fight, and I'm getting more dangerous. And when the time comes and I go for my title shot, I'm going to win it.
Are you wanting a big step up in competition? Is that something you'll be calling for, on social media, really getting after it? Or are you happy taking another fight, with a lesser opponent, not top 15 quite yet? Do you want top 15 or not quite yet?
I'm thinking not quite yet. Maybe another fight to grow a bit, and then start making moves from there. I see it as just one fight at a time, to be honest with you, and I want to be here for a long time. So if I'm trying to jump ahead of the pack, it's not going to benefit me in the long run. I don't believe it will.
Are you sort of happy taking it a bit slow? I mean, I can't even say you're taking it slow. You've only had 2 fights, so what am I talking about? But it's not like they're rushing you in, first fight of your UFC career, giving you a top 10 guy like they did with Volkan Oezdemir on short notice, and he obviously capitalized, as we know. But, they're taking it a little slow with you, as they should. Are you sort of happy about that? Just because I feel like because the 205-pound division doesn't have too many rising up-and-comers in it right now, anytime a guy puts together a bit of a run, like 2-0 like yourself, maybe 3 fights in a row, looking pretty good, maybe a few stoppages here and there, we, as in the fans and the media, start to look at that fighter and say, oh, this guy's the next big thing. Watch out for him. He's going to be top 5 in the 205-pound division soon enough. And then they end up falling off. I feel like even with the guy that knocked out, or that was knocked out, Herman Monster, I forget the Brazilian, I remember after he choked out Paul Craig, we were all talking about him, and then we were talking about Paul Craig before that fight.
Oh, and Enrique de Silva.
Yes, exactly, and now he's like 0-4 in his last 4 fights. Are you happy taking it slow just because you don't want to fall into, sort of that situation? Just because with 205-pound division especially, I feel like it's happening.
Honestly, I'm on my path that I'm on, and looking at my next steps. I'm not really looking at anything else. I'm not looking at other guys or other paths that other people have taken. Like, for instance, Volkan's path, similar but very different than mine. He came in against a top-ranked guy, fought another ranked guy, fought another ranked guy, and now he's getting a title shot. I came in 2 unranked guys. So it's a little different. I came in from LFA, the official minor leagues in my mind, and I'm building myself, and I'm getting the fan awareness, fight by fight, where I'm building this highlight reel where people could see, my abilities and everything. And then when the time's right, then I'll make that run at the top.
I feel like a step up might not be a bad thing for you, just because you talked about earlier how being a big favorite going into the Kimball fight, you had a little bit of pressure on you, just because you felt like the odds makers, wanted you to sort of live up to expectations. You were expected to win, so why shouldn't you? I wonder if a step up would be good, because if you fight a top 15 opponent, there's no given, but I feel like there's a better chance you would be an underdog in that fight, rather than if you were fighting another guy like on, say, Kimball's level.
Absolutely. I'm definitely looking for a step up, but I'm not trying to fight top 10 guys. I'm looking for a step up, but not something too crazy. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to stay in my lane for the most part, as one would say. But yeah, I mean, I'm a young fighter, and I'm hungry to grow and get better. I fought 4 times this year. In the beginning of the year, I was fighting in Indiana for HFC, so it's been a quick rise so far. And I just want to continue to grow. What
was Detroit like? Of course, you spent a few days there, about a week, I would imagine. Get up to anything except for just training and preparing for the fight? Anything maybe the Sunday after? In general, what did you make of Detroit?
I enjoyed Detroit. The people there are real nice. It was a very beautiful arena. Little Caesars Arena is top-notch. everybody was very hospitable, and the city is actually, it's nicer than I anticipated. So it's great to see Detroit, making a comeback like that.
For sure. And you mentioned that Volkan Oezdemir is, of course, going to be fighting for the light heavyweight title against Daniel D.C. Cormier. That is the co-main event of UFC 220 coming up in Boston next month. So we're just a month and a bit away. What are your thoughts on Oezdemir getting a title shot? Do you think it deserves it, even keeping in mind the fact that he was rested last month? And, about the matchup, what do you think of it? Do you think, do you give No Time a chance?
It's a light heavyweight fight, so he's got a chance, man. With the light heavyweight division, one punch can change everything, and he has the power to change everything in one punch. Cormier, though, has a lot more championship experience, a lot more championship fight experience, so I'm going to have to give it to Cormier. He's going to win it with pressure and his wrestling.
I know some guys who aren't even close to a title shot. They're outside the top 15, maybe not even the UFC yet, but they know what division they're in. They know who's at the very top. They know who's the champion, and they almost train, even though they're probably a year or more away from being the title mix. They're training for that guy. They're always training. I feel like some 205 pounders are going back a year or two. We're always training for a guy like John Jones. Do you train that way, or have you been training almost as if you're preparing to fight DC, or are you not, someone who does that?
When I first started my career, I was training with Jones in mind. I was training to get good enough to beat him one day. But I was always focusing on what I had in front of me. So I guess I did that before. Now I just focus on myself.
Well, and John Jones getting in all the trouble and losing the title 3 times doesn't help either.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help.
You had a super active 2017, a couple fights for LFA, and of course your 2 UFC outings. Do you want to just as active 2018, or do you want to take it a bit slowly?
I would like to stay pretty active, but you don't know what's going to happen out there, so I would like to stay active, but we'll see.
And as far as the next fight, you didn't really take much damage. I know Kimball landed a couple punches on you, but nothing devastating whatsoever. Despite your nickname. And but when do you want to get back in there? Would you like a quick turnaround, or take sort of the time off for holidays and get back in there maybe the first quarter of next year?
Yeah, I'm thinking first quarter of next year. Enjoy the Christmas and New Year's and my birthday, and then come back for the first quarter strong. Some new exciting finish.
Holiday plans? What you got going on at the end of this month?
Well, I got Christmas. I'm gonna spend that with my family. My birthday is the day after Christmas. I'm thinking about going snowboarding. Up over here in Big Bear, and then New Year's. I'm not sure.
Are you an avid snowboarder?
I am.
Have you ever come up to BC, British Columbia, here in Canada?
I've never been up there, but I'd love to.
Yeah, you should try it out. I've been to Whistler. I'm not particularly a snowboarder myself, but been to Whistler, and in the winter, I went there in the summer, but in the winter, obviously with the mountains, they're right in, Whistler's right in the mountains. I think it's known for some of the best skiing and snowboarding, probably in Canada, probably the best in Canada, and I would think some of the best in North America. Yeah.
Definitely going to have to try that out then.
Certainly, for sure. Well, anyways, really do appreciate the time, Dominick. Congratulations once again on the victory. Before I let you go, just let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and if there's anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
All right. First, I want to say thank you, Nick, for having me on your show. I want to thank my team, Cobra Kai, The Bullet Hole, Nutrition Edge, and Stein Chiropractic, as well as my friends and family and all my fans. I want to thank God, and thank you for everything.